I taught these guys covert influence and they doubled their commissions within less than 30 days. So before I got into sales, I was a magician and a mentalist. Okay, and basically my entire career was built on one thing: understanding human behavior at a level most people don't even know exists. Right? How to guide someone's attention, how to dissolve resistance without them realizing that it's even happening. How to make a person feel completely at ease, and in that ease, completely open. Okay, that's what you call covert influence, and that is exactly what I teach my students. Not scripts, not rebuttals, not another objection handling framework. Covert influence applied directly to high-ticket sales calls. I want to show you what happens when closers actually learn it. Every person that's come into my program who's currently a closer and applied this methodology has consistently doubled their close rate within 30 days. And I'm going to prove that in this video, case by case, and then show you exactly why it works. I know what some of you are thinking: covert influence. That sounds like fucking manipulation. That sounds like something dodgy. It sounds like a marketing stunt. All right, stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is the complete opposite of manipulation. Covert influence, applied ethically in a sales context, is the art of helping someone access their own decision. Not pushing them towards yours, not pressuring them, not overwhelming them with logic and urgency until they give in. It's understanding how the human mind actually processes decisions at a level below conscious reasoning, and communicate in a way that works with that process instead of against it. Every other closing methodology teaches you what to say. Covert influence teaches you how the other person's brain is receiving it and how to guide that reception so the prospect arrives at the decision themselves. That's why the results are typically seen within 30 days. Because once a closer understands this and once it clicks, it changes every single call they're on immediately. Let me show you what that looks like in practice. So I'm going to walk you through a couple of the students, different niches, different starting points, different levels of experience. And what I want you to pay attention to as I go through each one is not just the number they hit. I want you to notice the specific moment the methodology shifted, how they showed up on calls. Because once you see the pattern across all of them, you'll understand exactly why covert influence produces results this fast, and why no amount of script drilling will ever get you there. So number one is Gershon. So Gershon is relatively new to high ticket sales. He's still pretty young. I don't even know if he can grow a beard yet. And before joining me, he was in another program, and you know, he couldn't get it to click. He was so scripted. He was so just tied to the process. What we realized is that he was giving himself no freedom on sales calls. He was giving himself no audacity to say the risky thing. He was afraid to challenge people, not because of the actual thing it was, but because he didn't really know how to challenge them, because he was so fixed on what he needed to say and not understanding the prospect. So we fixed that, helped him overcome that. Within 48 hours, he collected $173,000. So do the maths on that, 10% commission, yeah. He closed, I believe it was like 28 sales calls in 2 fucking days. Do you know how fucking wild that is? Everybody he was speaking to was giving him the credit card because he actually understood how to influence, not just how to sell. Number 2 is my good friend Benji. So me and Benji, we actually sell on the same offer. We actually also had a few good nights out in New York at Christmas time. And he's been selling on the same offer as me for best part of about a year now. And he was always a good closer, but there was just something missing. And he was constantly 10K, 12K, 13K, 14K a month. He understood what needed to be done, but he didn't understand how to really do it. Okay? So we did some core reviews and got him to really understand how to go about covertly influencing and challenging language patterns and really understanding the prospect's process, not just his process. And this month, so far, he's hit 21,000. His goal when he joined me, he said, I want to hit my first 20,000 a month, and he's already hit it before the month is even over. in less than a month. You'll probably finish on 25, 30K this month. And the third student, a good friend of mine who I actually met last time I was in London, called Christian. Now Christian has been selling when I met him, he was doing 4K-ish a month, right? On multiple different offers, right? Taking a lot of sales calls, right? He's joined my program and he's about to hit his first 10K a month. So he went from 4K to 8K in his first 30 days. And then this month, he's gonna either hit 10K or very easily surpass it. But also taking less calls. He's actually ditched one of the offers he was selling for and he's taking less calls on the other offer. So he's literally taking a third of the amount of calls and nearly tripling his income. That's pretty fucking crazy. I don't know if you noticed it, but did you spot the pattern? Every single one of those students, different niches, different experience levels, different starting points, went through the same shift. They stopped trying to influence the prospect's decision and they started influencing the process the prospect uses to make it. That's the difference between traditional sales training and covert influence applied to closing. And it's a fundamental difference. Traditional sales training operates on the surface. It gives you things to say, questions to ask, objections to handle, closes to attempt. And it works to a point, but here's the problem with that approach. By the time you try and handle an objection, you've already lost. The objection is a symptom. The real problem happened 5 minutes into the fucking call when the prospect's unconscious mind decided whether to trust you. And you didn't know how to influence that moment because nobody taught you it existed. Covert influence works at the level below conscious reasoning. It works at the level where decisions are actually made. Here's what I mean. When a prospect gets on a sales call, they're not a blank slate. They've come in with an internal world, past experiences with programs that didn't deliver, a belief around whether someone like them can actually get the result, a fear they're not even fully aware of. And all of that is running in the background, shaping every response they give you, long before the objection ever comes out of their mouth. What I teach is how to identify in the first 5 minutes of a call and how to work with it, not against it. Specifically 3 things. So first is pattern breaking. The moment you sound like every other closer the prospect is spoken to, the guard goes up and it doesn't come fucking back. Covert influence starts with doing something completely unexpected, something real, something human, something that makes the prospect think, I've never been on a call like this before. In that moment of surprise, the critical faculty lowers, and that's where the real conversation begins. Second is language architecture, not word tracks, the specific structure of sentences that embed decisions inside statements rather than present them as questions the prospect can reject. When you say, do you want to go ahead? There's a door wide open, marked no. When you build the decision into the frame of what you're saying, the prospect processes it differently. They are responding to a choice, not making a commitment. That's the distinction most closers never understand. And third, and this is the one that goes deepest, is understanding the language that a prospect is using. However a prospect describes a situation or a scenario or something they want to achieve or whatever, however they describe it determines the end of the call. If they are saying, yeah, like if I can get to 10K a month, that'll be great. At the start of the call, you already know that there is uncertainty and fear, okay? It's not about reframing them and overcoming them. It's actually getting the prospect to a place where that language pattern isn't even present in their brain and their conversations anymore. This is the highest level of what I teach. And it's what my students are learning to do. When all 3 of these work together, when a closer breaks the pattern, structures the language at the right level, and dissolves the weight of the prospect's past, something shifts on the call. The prospect stops being guarded and starts being genuinely open. And from that place of genuine openness, the close isn't a battle, it's a natural conclusion. That's why my students double their close rate in 30 days. Not because they are working harder, not because they've got a better script, because they're operating at a completely different level of influence. One that most closers don't even know exists. This methodology is not manipulation. It is the application of how human decision making actually works, used to guide prospects towards decisions that are genuinely right for them. So if you're a closer right now who recognizes what I've just described, the inconsistent months, the ceiling you can't explain, the deals you felt slipping and didn't know how to hold, this is the methodology that can fix it. Not a new script, not more calls, a completely different level of influence. one, your prospect won't see coming and won't be able to explain, but will feel on every call you were on. Here's what I'm offering. In the description, you will see an application link to book a call. Now, this call is very different to a lot of other sales coaches calls that you've probably been on already. I'm not gonna do the whole process on you. What I'm gonna do is you're gonna bring a sales call that you've taken, and I'm gonna break it down for you live, and I'll show you exactly where your current approach is working against the prospect's decision-making process, and where covert influence would change the outcome. I don't even need to pitch you on that. I'm not even gonna give you a pitch, because after I do it, you'll have already diagnosed the problem and seen the solution. The link is below. It takes 2 minutes to apply. I go through everyone personally. Every closer you just saw doubled their close rate by learning to operate at a level most closers don't even know exists. That level is learnable though, in 30 days. And it starts with one call. That's all for this video. Stay classy, San Diego.